I feel like this video is going to be all over the place, but I need to say something because saying nothing is just feeling it and not changing anything. Saying something is better than saying nothing, even if it's not that much. If I do get something wrong, politely correct me in the comments, or if you just disagree, we can have a civilized conversation in the comments as well. No one needs to start screaming and shouting at each other. This video isn't to invalidate anyone, that's not my intention, but I will call you out if you're being racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic, the list goes on, and it's actually quite sad and horrifying how long that list can be. If I do say something offensive or if it's just worded wrong, that's not my intention, although I do take full responsibility for it. Just let me know if I have worded it wrong. But I can be really bad with my words whenever I'm trying to explain something and it just comes out wrong. Again, I take full responsibility for absolutely everything I say in this video. I'm just explaining, let me know if I have got something wrong. I'm still working to educate myself and learn, but there's only so much you can actually learn from secondhand hearing it and seeing it. But it's a completely different story when you're experiencing it yourself every single day. White people are inherently privileged, and as a white person I am disgusted by it, and unfortunately I can be quite ignorant to it as well. I don't mean to, but I am taught as I grow up by the government, by media, by police to instinctively react with fear when I see a black person. Do I feel fear and hatred when I see them walk past me on the street? No, because I'm not a fucking lab rat or someone who uses a corrupted system to my advantage to hurt someone else. The only time I would use that system to my advantage is to save someone else's life when they're innocent. I'm terrified of the police and the government, but it's not because of my skin color. It's because I'm a female, which is a whole other conversation I'm not going to talk about it in this video. But I don't have to be afraid because of my skin color. I don't have to be afraid of the consequences of the skin color that I was born with. So why do black people have to? Let's put myself and another little black girl my age in a school. Whatever school, it doesn't matter. Why am I allowed to play with all the kids? Play tag, mess with paint, do stupid shit and say stupid shit, which all kids do at some point, which is how they grow. But when a black child does it, it's suddenly wrong. You feel the need to literally separate white children and black children into different tables as if you're not allowed to be friends with them for no other reason other than the fact that they're black. If they were a dickhead, I could understand that. But why does the skin color determine whether they're bad people or if you shouldn't hang out with them? It's a bit of a bad analogy, but I'm trying to explain the point of why do black people get shit on for the simplest things that no one should be getting mad at in the first place. Why is it so wrong for 3 black men to stop in at a cafe on their work break that you feel the need because of your fear to kick them out, when really it's just the fact that you know you have more power over them because of the skin color? That's white privilege. Using the excuse a black or an African American man just threatened my life on the phone to the police while you, a dumbass white woman, is more or less strangling your dog. All because you know you'll be favoured by the fact that you're white and the culprit is black. Because you'll be favoured by a corrupted system that doesn't know the real meaning of justice or what's right. All lives matter. Are you sure about that? Yes, I am sure. Let me rephrase it. All lives should matter, but they don't. If all lives should matter, then why don't they? Why does the skin you were born with make you less of a human being? Has anyone actually stopped to try and listen to what the real meaning of the word human is, or what it stands for, it's a mixture of two words, hue and man. What is hue? Hue is coloration. What is man? Mankind. Hue, man, people of colour. We are all human. But if that's the case, then why are we pulling one colour out of the group and making them feel like an outcast? It makes no sense. Racism doesn't exist. Racism shouldn't exist, but it does. If it shouldn't exist, since we're all colourful people, then why does it? Because the human race are greed-filled people who will do anything to get to the top, including murdering innocent people. Why should children have to grow up afraid of a system that's supposed to protect their people, which by default should include them, just because of their skin colour? Why should they be outcasted in school and then people are suddenly surprised when they start acting out? Because they're constantly being told, you're the bad guy. You've done nothing but be born, but everything and anything you say or do is wrong because you're black. How does no one see the problem there in that simple sentence that I just said? Yes, all lives are supposed to matter, but saying all lives matter is discrediting and invalidating the racism and stupid hatred that black people have to deal with every single day since the day they were born. And the sad part about that is that I'm not even being dramatic to give out a point. That is 100% serious, which makes it even more fucked up. The reason it's specifically Black Lives Matter is because they have been told for hundreds of years that they don't matter by white people. It's white privilege. If you don't see that, then you are part of the problem. I know I have white privilege, and I have a love-hate relationship with knowing that. I love that I know I can go out and do most things, except when it's night, without the fear of being shot or killed in any other kind of way because of my skin colour. Side note, I have extreme paranoia, but I'm saying this on the basis of my skin colour, not my mental state. So I'm not going to go into detail on that, but I do have really bad paranoia when it comes to like being followed and stuff. I'm just including that because I have mentioned it on my channel before, so just clarifying that. This is just based on my skin colour, not my mental health. But I hate it because there's thousands of people who don't get that luxury. Why is it considered a luxury? Why is it considered lucky to be able to live your fucking life as a human being? Why are they being told, no matter what they do, that they automatically are the ones that deserved it? They're the bad guy, the villain, the culprit. Here's another probably bad analogy, but let's say there's two guys who did the exact same things around maybe 17 years old. One is white, one is black. Rape, arson, robbery, and murder. They both of them did the same things. But why does the white boy get a slap on the wrist, probably no jail time because it'll harm his mental health? But the black guy, who's the same age as the white guy, gets life in jail with no possibility of parole because he's a monster. They did the same things, the same crimes, and yet why are the consequences different? What about the skin colour magically changes what makes a crime a crime? It's a crime either way. Their skin colour shouldn't give them a safe escape from whatever consequences should come from the crime that they committed. People should not be allowed to use the whole "a black man is attacking me" to make the police and other people think, oh, she's definitely in danger if it's a black guy. If it was a white guy, we can take our time. She's not really that in danger. What the fuck? When I'm being harassed by a guy, my automatic thought isn't, oh, he's black, he's worse than white guys. It's, I hate people like that. I don't like being catcalled. Why is it necessary to point out what their skin color is? What about the skin color makes the situation worse or better? It makes no sense. Because guess what? Every single government is corrupted because all they want is power and they use fear to control people. Take the virus for an example. It's not actually as bad as the government are making it out to be. Now, use your fucking brain. Don't go out and start hugging everyone you see. Use common sense if you have any. Just be safe and you'll be fine. But it's not actually as bad as the government are trying to make it look like, because they want to control people. That's all it is. It is very real, just not as bad as we think it is. It's the same with racism. Fear is how they control people because they know they can control them. And that's why the government as a whole in every single country needs to be restarted. Why aren't the people who are actually capable and willing to change running for president? Why aren't they trying to go into the government? Why is it the power-hungry, disgusting bastards that keep running and keep winning? I don't know of all presidents in America, but from I was born until now, from an outside perspective, since I'm in Ireland, Obama was probably the best one. Yes, he made mistakes. Yes, he has his faults. He's a human being. But at least he actually started doing some shit instead of making it worse. And I do genuinely think if he was still president right now, America would be on the right path to really being free. America's not free when there's so many prisoners there who don't even get the choice on whether they live or die based on how they were born. In my eyes, black people are more human than white people at this point. This is a small story and maybe not that impactful, but I still remember it to this day. When I was around 16, I was going up the street to a shop that's closed now, but it was open at the time. When I was walking up there, I passed by a black man who was probably in his early 20s or something. I do this thing called a hello smile. Sounds stupid, I know. It's when I walk past a stranger and give like a smile, like a small smile, as a way of saying hello without actually stopping and saying hello, because I don't know them, they're strangers. But I'm still saying hello with a smile, hence the name. I do this with all strangers, unless they're not actually looking at me, then I'm just smiling at air. I even do it to people behind the counters at shops, and I did a hello smile for this man, and he gave a massive smile back, like he was happy just because I had smiled at him. Now, before all you stupid people start commenting or thinking things like, oh my god, he was a pedophile, you were 16 and he was smiling at you. No, the fuck he did not. We only use 5% of our brain. Please actually use that 5% of your brain while watching this video. Otherwise, you just sound like a fucking idiot. Just because he smiled at me did not mean he wanted to fuck me. Am I the only one who actually thinks like that? I know, just because someone's smiling at me, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I want to fuck her. It could just be, oh, she's polite, she's smiling back at me. I'm going to smile back at her to be polite again. Back at her. Not every guy that smiles at you wants to fuck you, because not every guy is an asshole and will use kindness to get in your pants. Notice how I never mentioned skin color when saying all of that? That's because the skin color isn't the important factor. If you're a dick to me, I will be a dick back to you. If you're kind to me, I will be kind back to you. Why should the color of your skin change what that result should be? It's that simple. The color of the skin shouldn't change that fact, and it doesn't, for me at least. Because I actually have morals and I use my brain. Anyway, a few days later I went into the same shop I had been going to that day, and the same guy was there and he recognized me. We had a small conversation, like a hey, how are you kind of thing. Again, he seemed happy just because I was being polite to him. Neither one of us had really been planning to stay in a shop for about an hour, especially since we were complete strangers. So it was a very small conversation. Calm, friendly, No bad vibes. He seemed like a nice guy, from my experience as a complete stranger. And no, I don't mean a nice guy that's like a nice guy, I mean a genuinely nice guy. I do have a fear of men. I'm scared of people in general, but I have a subconscious fear of men specifically. Again, the skin color doesn't make the situation any better or worse. If I feel uncomfortable, your skin color doesn't and shouldn't be an important factor on whether that's a good or a bad thing. If I'm uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable. Why do I keep repeating myself? Because there's idiotic people in the world who don't seem to understand any of this. The police and the government are the reason for violent protests because the peaceful ones don't do shit. They don't listen to the peaceful protests because it's not important. People are just walking up the street. Their opinion doesn't matter to me. So then they feel the need that they need to get even the slightest bit violent to be heard. Not to actually hurt people, to be heard because you're not listening. And then the government take that as the chance to switch the story around and make them look like the good guys and the black people look like the bad guys because they're violent protesters. The reason that they're violent protesters because we wouldn't listen. And there's still people that buy the government's shit. You're the reason that people get murdered every single day for being born. The government's the reason for the violent protests. They're the reason people die. They're the reason riots start, and they're the reason why riots seem a lot worse than they actually are because they're pressing a button on their phone, firing off fake gunshots, starting fires, breaking windows, and then blaming it on the black people. A child was shot walking to school because he was black. A child was shot in her own home because she was black. A woman was shot in her own home because the police thought she was robbing her own house because she was black. A man was murdered on suspicion of forgery he didn't commit because he was black. And the culprit was only arrested after the public knew about it and was just given a third-degree murder and manslaughter sentence instead of the justifiable first-degree murder. It was planned, it was intentional, and it was a murder. His name is George Floyd. George Floyd's murderer was his co-worker for, I think it was 17 years. He knew Floyd, and he planned this. He put Floyd in handcuffs with 4 other cops standing around doing absolutely nothing but watch. He had Floyd in handcuffs on the ground on his stomach with 5 cops around him. 5 against 1. He couldn't do anything even if he wanted to in regards to police apprehending someone. 5 against 1. You already know the odds in that case. So why was it necessary for you to, I don't know, put your knee into his neck and crush it? Specifically in the area that not only cuts off your oxygen, it cuts off your blood circulation. Yes, police are taught tactics of chokeholds to apprehend someone, but they're also taught which ones kill people and how long it takes to kill them. The tactic that man used can kill someone in minutes, and yet he still held his knee against his neck, crushing it, cutting off the oxygen and blood circulation, full well knowing, with his hands in his pockets like it was just an everyday situation. George Floyd and everyone else was murdered. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't an accident. It was murder. Murder is murder, not a misunderstanding or self-defense. I'm not black, but I hear you. I'm not black, but I see you. I'm not black, but I mourn with you. I'm not black, but I will fight for you. Black lives matter. and the world needs to change, or there won't be a world to change.
So I saw this post on Facebook. I'll put it up and you can pause and read it because it is like a small paragraph, but it would take you a couple seconds to read. I just wanted to say something about it because it made me think of something. It's not a new concept, what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to explain it in case there are people who don't understand it. It's not that rioting isn't the way to go. It's that it's a last resort because the peaceful protests that the people are being told to go with, aren't being listened to. So the violent protests, the aggressive ones, tend to be the only ones that actually get through to people, which is how gay people got their rights. So yes, while violence shouldn't be the answer, sometimes you have to use violence to get what's right.
Let's talk things that happen in Minneapolis, cop standpoint, right? I'm disgusted with the things that happened in Minneapolis. Period, point blank, things could have went way different. At the end of the day, let's talk facts. Guy is on the ground. He's laying on his stomach. He have handcuffs on. It's 4 of y'all, 1 of him. 4 of y'all, 1 of him. Who has control of the situation? It's not much one person could do against 4 people. Now let's get deeper, right? As an officer, you are a first responder, right? So if in the midst of you trying to gain compliance, someone is hurt, you have to render aid. So somebody saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. You don't think to yourself and say, oh my gosh, this guy can't breathe. He might die. Let me render aid, right? Another point, officers, other officers, if you're going to be an officer that's going to stand there and not help when things go wrong, come on, like you don't see that? That's the reason I got behind this badge, right? Because I want them officers that's afraid to step up, I want to be the one to step up. If I see wrong happening, wrong is not happening in my presence, right? I'm going to check it. And that's period.
I have tried many times to make this video. George Floyd was murdered. He had a knee unnecessarily pressed against his neck in a way that constricted his breathing enough to incapacitate him and kill him. The sad part is, it's not even fucking shocking anymore. If you're shocked by it, you're not paying attention and you're not listening to black people when they speak to you. Black lives matter. And before you come up in my comments with the all lives matter bullshit, allow me to make an analogy for you. There are 2 houses. One's on fire, the other isn't. You go to douse the fire on the house that's on fucking fire, but the homeowner of the house that's not on fire comes out and says, well, what about my house? All houses matter. It's not that your house isn't important. Your house isn't on fire. I am here to listen. Black Lives Matter.
You do not have to abandon your own heritage and your own country's struggles to support Black Lives Matter. I can talk about how bad the colonization of Ireland was without bringing it into Black Lives Matter, because when I bring it into Black Lives Matter, I'm trying to diminish the severity of Black Lives Matter and I'm trying to keep it all down. I also need to recognize that Black Lives Matter is going to be different for me because I'm European. So a lot of times people will be like, well, it's not happening on my doorstep, so it's not happening. Racism is rampant everywhere, but Black Lives Matter needs our help the most right now. Some white people are going to be more privileged than other white people, but I think that it's really, really important for white people to remember that our privilege was stolen for us. It's not God-given, it's not divine, it was stolen for us. Just keep talking about it, keep the momentum going, don't let it die down, don't let this be a phase on the internet that just gets passed by, keep the momentum going.
I never said the phrase all lives don't matter. I said there is no all lives matter, and there is a difference. All Lives Matter was a movement created to undermine the value of Black Lives Matter. No one is saying your life doesn't matter. What we're saying is society thinks Black lives matter less than other people's lives, and that is unacceptable. There's a long history of racism in America, and it still shows to this day. The fact that some people are still using the phrase all lives matter and still supporting it just goes to show how selfish they are as people.
Y'all ain't ready to hear this, but if you are protesting or calling this shit out because it's the trendy thing to do, y'all don't fucking care. Y'all just want that fucking clout. Y'all just want people to follow you. You don't really give a damn that there are actual people dying because of the color of their skin. You only care about yourself, and you only care about the fucking attention that you're getting. Y'all need to get it through your fucking head that there is systematic racism. There is fucking oppression. There are people dying because of the color of their skin every single day, and it doesn't even get picked up by the news outlets. When people move on from this, when people stop talking about the riots, where the fuck will you be? If you are a true ally and you stand by everything that you've been protesting and saying, you won't shut the fuck up. You will continue to talk about this for the rest of your life.
At a protest today, a cop maced a 10-year-old black girl, and photographers swarmed her to take her picture. Being kids has never been enough to protect black children. Remember Emmett Till, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin. It has never been enough. White allies, please. Their youth is not going to protect them. It is not going to protect black kids, so you have to.
If you are not taking time out of your day to sign petitions, to donate, to even peacefully protest when there's a protest in a city near you, you have no right to be commenting on any riots. Stay safe, y'all. I love you. Please don't talk about stuff you know nothing about. Because, honey, you're about to delete your comment. First of all, the people destroying our communities is cops. They're burning down buildings, and they're breaking glass windows, and they're blaming it on the rioters. Rioters that are being tear gassed and used excessive force against. Yeah, and MLK, that anti-feminist, peaceful protester you love, said that rioting is the language of the unheard. You also must know nothing about Malcolm X, because Malcolm X was a radical activist who didn't peacefully protest. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if everyone is on our side, we are still not getting justice. Cops are setting fires to buildings and they're breaking glass windows to make it seem like rioters are doing it. And may I remind you that this was a peaceful protest until the cops decided to use tear gas. Tear gas, something that was considered a war chemical in World War II, and now we use it on our own civilians. Particular citizens. Also, the fact that mass media is literally cutting up clips and adding gunshots to make it seem like the riots are more violent than they actually are. History is repeating itself. This happened 70 years when we were fighting for integration. We are still fighting for civil rights. Our civil right to live. If you want to bring up numbers in this situation, let's bring up numbers. Let's talk about how all cops have been domestically violent in their household at least once. The fact that out of thousands of police officers surveyed, 77% agreed that they wanted to be a cop because it was exciting. 11% just because they needed a job. And 32% disagreed they wanted to become a cop to protect and serve. Or the number of cops that illegally haze their coworkers, and the fact that 85.3% of all cops are males because of the strong rape culture embedded in police communities. The amount of cops that are in white supremacy groups such as the KKK, or the dirty cops that contaminate evidence. I haven't seen a single cop protest the death of an innocent black man, and none of them hold their stations accountable. We know this because how many innocent black deaths have gone without a murderer in jail? All of these numbers, and it's really so hard to see why we don't like cops when they're killing us.
This video is probably going to come with some hate, but fuck it. Every year for the past 5 years, police have killed over 1,000 people. In fact, there were only 27 days last year where police didn't kill anyone. Good chunk of those people, by the way, were unarmed. Black people made up 24% of those killings despite only being 13% of the population. From 2013 to 2019, 99% of the cops that killed somebody didn't get charged with a crime. They got away with it. By the way, we only have stats about deaths. This isn't even taking into account the other types of police brutality and abuse of power. There are proven solutions to this though, but it starts with police departments adopting different strategies. Stop letting friends of the police prosecute the police. Make sure the "oh, my body cam wasn't on" excuse stops. Stop criminalizing everything. How about we obey the 4th Amendment? We could train the police to be a part of the community rather than just an armed patrolman. Most of my viewers are over 18, so remember to vote and vote for what you know is right. And if you're going to protest, then protest, but don't riot.
Criminalizing and killing of black and brown bodies is not new. It's as old as America. It's just getting filmed more.
Do you know what it feels like to be hunted? To have a new hashtag for a dead black person every single day? How does one plan a life if they aren't sure they will have a life to plan?
Tarisha Armstrong, Deborah Dan,
Megan Friday, Maya Hall,
Michelle Lee Sharp,
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name. Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again, and always, we fight for justice.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Rest in power, beautiful. You didn't deserve this.
I come here today to talk about how I feel, and I feel like that we are treated differently than other people, and I don't like how we're treated, and just because of our color doesn't mean anything to me. I believe that
you're doing great. You're doing a great job.
Don't stop the clock. Do not stop. We are black people and we shouldn't have to feel like this. We shouldn't have to protest because y'all are treating us wrong. We do this because we need to.